It's a rematch of a dramatic finish from earlier this season between a division rivalry. It's the Cardinals and the Seahawks going at it this Sunday, this time up the Pacific Northwest. I'm excited to be joined, of course, by Seahawks blogger, Hawks blogger, Brian Nemhauser. He joins us. And Brian, we were kind of up in the air as far as which direction both these teams were going at the last time these teams faced off. But the Seahawks seem like they're very poised to be one of the top teams in the conference. You get that same feeling?
Yeah, it's been a minute since you and I first got to talk about these two teams, and in that situation, both teams had a winning record and coming off, close losses to the 49ers. And since then, they've kind of gone in different directions, and the Seahawks are now coming off a big win on prime time against the Commanders. And I think the conversation now is more, okay, how do you not get too far ahead of yourself as a Seahawks team who a lot of people are now talking about as Super Bowl contenders?
Yeah, I mean, you're looking at top 5 teams in points scored and then top 5 team as far as points surrendered. They're just doing it on both sides of the football. And the last time we talked about the special teams was excelling with a couple, kick returns. So when you look at the strength of this team, I mean, is stellar as Sam Darnold's been, it continues, in my opinion, the calling card seems to be that defense.
Yeah, this is Mike Macdonald team, and Mike Macdonald is, he was called the Sean McVay of defense when he was hired. I think that we may be soon talking about the next Mike Macdonald as a head coach because, he came in here and he's established his scheme and his approach to how he wants the defense to play first and foremost. Last year was a lot about that. This year was about getting the offense to kind of reflect the identity and vision that he wants on that side of the ball. And man, what a hire Clint Kubiak has been and all the staff that he's brought in. So right now they're kind of clicking on all cylinders, other than the run game is probably on offense the one thing that has not yet truly got untracked. And one of the things that's crazy, you talk about the defense, Bo, this is a top 5 pass rush team. You got a bunch of guys that are on track for, 10 sacks, 8 sacks, 9 sacks, things like that. They're 2 young edge rushers, Boye Mafe and Derek Hall, who are really good players, have 0 sacks on the season. So there's upside still yet to unlock for this team.
You talk about the offense. Jonathan Gannon was asked about what do they expect from Rashid Shaheed, the newly acquired wide receiver he's mentioned. And he's like, we know exactly what Kubiak's going to want to do. They prepared for him earlier for the Saints this season, but also saw him deployed under Kubiak last year. It seems like he's got a pretty defined role. The tweet, I've got the need for speed or Shaheed. Are we expecting him to kind of hit the ground running with his new team?
Yeah, I would expect him to be in the lineup. Mike Macdonald expected as much. And you can look back to last year when the Seahawks acquired Ernest Jones during, trade deadline deal, and he played a full game right away. And you could argue that's an even more complicated kind of situation to get into. And in this case, Shaheed has played with Kubiak. Kubiak knows him. Formations, personnel are, a little bit different, but generally the same. So, and then there's another factor here, which is, you've got Cooper Kupp and Torrey Horton that came out of, Cooper Kupp missed the last game with an injury. Torrey Horton showed up on the injury report yesterday, although he was a full participant with an injury. They might have a need for Shaheed in this first game, just from a numbers perspective.
It's a bit of a tongue twister once you get that deep into it. Before we get into kind of the big elephant in the room, the changing of the guard, QB1 in Arizona, and maybe even your perspective on the Kyler Murray era that seems like it's coming to an unceremonious close. Just your thoughts on what the Cardinals defense that had a pretty stellar second half performance against the Seahawks the time they last faced, but also coming off of a really good performance by incorporating Walter Nolan against a really good offense in the Cowboys. What are your kind of takes as far as this defense goes and what maybe strikes fear into the hearts of the Seahawks and their fan base?
Yeah, I loved their draft this year. I thought that it fell to them in the right way, and I thought they took the right risks on the right upside players. Walter Nolan, there's nobody you talk to that's a scout or a player that played against them that denies his talent. The questions have always been about, is his motor good? How is he going to be character-wise? Or some of those kind of rumblings. but the guy's absolutely a disruptive force, and he gets a sack in his first game and shows that that's just going to continue potentially in the NFL. And you put him next to Calais Campbell, you put him next to what else is going on with Josh Sweat and Baron Browning. Like there's a lot to like about that front. And let's face it, the Cardinals have not been a scary front for a while. So that's a change. And then Will Johnson, having him fall to the Cardinals in the second round was, I think, huge. And he's looked like every bit the player that a lot of people thought was a top 10 talent going into this year. So I love the young corners. Garrett Williams is a top 3 nickel corner. You now have him back. And then there's another one that I'd say is kind of sneaky. We'll see what happens with Mack Wilson Sr. and whether he's able to play after the rib injury against the Cowboys. But I like Cody Simon from Ohio State, and I thought he played pretty darn well against the Cowboys. That might be a situation where you find an upgrade, even though Mack Wilson Sr. has been a good player. I think there's potential you have another rookie show up there. So as far as what would concern a Seahawks team, I think it's just, look, the last time these teams faced, JSN went for 0 yards in the first half, and that's one of the only teams that's been able to do that. He finished with 79 yards. He got the last play to kind of clinch the game, but they had some success. You guys have good safeties in that team, and generally speaking, there's not a lot of easy yards that come against this Cardinals defense. So the Seahawks have been relying on explosive plays, and the Cardinals are pretty good at limiting those. That, once again, will be the question. It is worth noting the Seahawks managed to get a season-high 6 against the Cardinals in the passing game and explosive passes. So it has happened, but that would be the thing I'd look for in this one.
Looks like this is the end for Kyler Murray. Just your thoughts, just maybe how you would describe the Kyler Murray era. Last time he beat the Seahawks, it wasn't the last time the Cardinals beat the Seahawks. That was Colt McCoy, I believe, in 21. Kyler, he beat him on Sunday Night Football way back in 2020. So I got to imagine this is it's tough for Seahawks fans to say goodbye to Kyler.
I don't know about that, but I do. I think Kyler has shown some high highs in terms of like I think his DeAndre Hopkins years were, like, to me, his best years. There was a real connection there. They had a real chemistry. I just haven't seen another receiver really bond with him. Like Marvin Harrison Jr. has not, that just does not seem like a good connection between those two players. And even Michael Wilson, I like him as a receiver, and it didn't feel like that was great. So, as someone who follows another team, I look at Kyler Murray and I say, I think the Cardinals had a limiting factor there. This is a guy that typically was not great in the clutch. This is a guy that tended to fade later in years, later in games. And I think there's an opportunity now for what is a young core in that organization to now maybe look in a different direction. I don't know that Jacoby Brissett's your long-term answer, but, as a fan, I think you'd hope to have potential and hope, and not feel like, oh man, here we go again with something that we know where this story is going to end. So I think there's reason for Cardinals fans to maybe find some optimism as this season. I think they're going to chance to be a spoiler the rest of the way and maybe set themselves up to take a climb next year.
Yeah, in the interim, it is Jacoby Brissett. You talk about the big play passes, the explosives in the passing game for Seattle. Brissett has reincorporated that in the Cardinals offense. You feel like that Brissett, the numbers are undeniable, gives the Cardinals a better chance offensively. How do you think that they could find success against this top 5 defense?
Yeah, I mean, in general, I think that's very true. I think Brissett's floor is higher than Kyler Murray's floor. I don't know that his ceiling is as high as Kyler Murray's ceiling.
Sure. Well put.
But what Brissett does is he runs a professional offense, and he's not going to be a guy that breaks the pocket as much. He's going to stand in there. He's going to deliver the ball. He's going to go over the middle. He's going to be comfortable with throws that maybe Kyler Murray isn't. And he's going to be a guy that, like, he has, averaging 2 yards more per throw than Kyler Murray was. He has been much better against man coverage than Kyler Murray was. He's been electric on third downs. I think he's got like a 129 passer rating on third downs. So there's a lot of things he's doing well. The thing that I worry about, if looking from a Cardinals perspective in this game, is Kyler Murray was sacked 6 times by the Seahawks in the last matchup. The Seahawks run a lot of stunts, a lot of things that they don't do against a Kyler Murray type of player because it opens up rushing lanes or scramble lanes. Brissett doesn't scramble. You get this front four just getting to rush however they want against what's been a pretty stationary quarterback. Jacoby Brissett has the highest pressure rate against of any quarterback in the NFL this season. I don't know that that's going to be a good recipe for this team, but he's tough. He will deliver. And yeah, you just have to hope that, they hit some big plays from an Arizona perspective to kind of keep the ball moving.
Should be a gritty game. At least I'm getting that feel. Hawksblogger.com. Brian Nemhauser, it's always a pleasure. And it's unfortunate. It's probably the last time we'll catch up this season, but enjoy the game this Sunday. It's in your place this time. So enjoy the look from the press box.
Appreciate it, Bo. Take care, man.
Thanks, Brian. Hit that like, subscribe to PHNX Sports here on YouTube.